Well, good morning, everybody. I sure hope that little video finally woke you up. So our group was the first one, and our question was like, which tech initiative will be of special value to the workforce in 2024? So, and the video here was to show you that there are lots of, with every new technology, there's always some negative aspects and some positive aspects. But we just like to ask you to take our idea into consideration and just not criticize it at first, but listen to us first. So our idea for a new technology is called Intermind. And Intermind is basically a brain-computer interface. And Wikipedia's description for that is a direct communication pathway between the brain and an external device. Brain-computer interfaces are often directed at assisting, augmenting, or repairing human cognitive or sensory motor functions. But that's just the Wikipedia definition, and it's just words. So we got a picture. That's Intermind. I mean, it's just like, you shouldn't take it, so we're not going to like cut your brains open, but it's the idea. You get the idea.
You all might be wondering why there's a picture of ants up here. It's quite simple, really. Ants are the most productive beings on the planet, and that might sound silly, but it's true, and it's because they have a hive mind. Now, ants, they're very, very basic creatures. They don't have a frontal lobe, they don't have opposable thumbs. But they are incredibly hard workers, and they make the most complex structures imaginable for their species to live in, to work in, and to breed in. And it has resulted in them being incredibly complex and also incredibly productive. And considering that we are fantastically complex and amazing beings, we are so creative, we have so much potential. Just imagine what we could do if we had a hive mind. Just imagine what we could do if we could be as productive as the ants are. So that's why there's that picture. Of course, we are not ants, and that means that while we can take inspiration from their natural structures and the way that they communicate and interact with each other, the way we would do it would be slightly different. For one thing, we would have an in-mind database of all human knowledge, similar to Wikipedia. However, it would have an auto-update button, naturally, because we are acquiring new knowledge all the time. And it would be ubiquitous. We could access it whenever and wherever we wanted, even if other people weren't necessarily around, something that ants, for example, can't do. And the possibilities are endless. They really are. This is such a fantastic idea. Oh, there we go. Sorry. However, this is not the only possibility for using this technology. We could also, for instance, have thought-to-thought transmission. This would eliminate the need for verbal communication, which you might not initially think would be that much of an advantage, but it would be much faster, for one. And secondly, it would also prevent people from using information that has been publicly stated and manipulating it and using it against the purpose that it was originally intended for, such as often happens with politics, for example. So if everybody knew the original intent of the message, then it could never be used against it. We would not only be able to transmit words, as we can now, we would also be able to transmit thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions. The possibilities are really endless here. And this means that there's so much potential for deeper human relationships because of the fact that empathy would be immediate and unconditional. And of course, this would lead to everyone having so many new experiences, deeper experiences, more complex experiences, because they could then share these with other people around them.
Okay, to understand how this technology will work, we need to know from which point it starts. So our interface is associated with human brains, and you already know that our brains are divided into sections with different activities, and these activities are controlled by a lot of neurons, the cells which can transmit electrical signals. So how do we do that? One neuron first releases chemical compounds called neurotransmitters into synapse, a junction between two neurons. An other neuron catches these molecules and activates itself, and then transmits a signal to other neurons. And this works like a big chain. And today we developed a lot of methods, performed a lot of experiments with animal models like rodents and primates. And now we know how to catch these signals, how to measure them, and how to record them. And also we've created a lot of non-invasive different electrode matrices which can be placed directly on the brain, on the head of animals, and the process all can be recorded. So the steps are to catch signals, to measure them, amplify, and then record.
Probably one of the most important parts, the advantage is, what is this? It's a remote control, and I never seen somebody use it correctly because it's so a difficult tool. It has a forward button and a back button. What? Yeah, you're laughing. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it's really complex. What if I could steer this presentation with my mind? I mean, possibilities are endless, and I'm really not kidding you. But there are other possibilities that are probably more important to us now. For example, preserve and store memories. What if, for example, an Alzheimer disease person could store their memories up and have access later on? What if I get older and I do not have to retrieve all the things, if I can learn things in school and then actually use it my whole life and do not forget the unimportant stuff? And I will not lose a lot of time learning those things, because if I have an interface, why not just download Wikipedia? Why not just focus on connecting things instead of learning facts? As we said before, there will be less misunderstandings. What is war? Most of the time it's just misunderstanding. Misunderstanding of religion, misunderstanding of culture, misunderstanding of economic principles. But misunderstanding would not be there anymore, because if we can feel each other's feeling, if we can have each other's emotion, we could actually understand each other. Maybe it would not solve the problem, but with better understanding, there would be a better way of tackling those problems. And now the work-related things, as I said, that will be one thing. The other thing, maybe, if you go to meetings, important politicians have to go all over the world. We would not have sounds like that. All those things would be possible, because if you just could transmit thoughts, it would not be necessary to transmit video messages, which are very boring sometimes, and everybody's doing something else at Skype while watching actually the video. And so while we have all of those things, everything is underlaid by an incredible amount of information, because we have instant access to everything in the world. So we could process actually everything very fast. But there are also dangers. As you saw in the video in the beginning, there are not only the bright sides, there are also the dangerous sides. And one of those first things we have to do is a differentiation. If we will put an electrode in our head, it will be much different than if you put it just like on our head. And it doesn't need to be a fancy hat like that, but it will be like smaller and not something like that. And we don't want something like that in the first picture. But the problem is, it is really difficult to do actually, as he told us before. But then again, there is addiction, which is not a problem of if you wear a hat or an electrode. There could be an error in the operating system. What if our brain is based on Windows? would be horrible. Not as if Mac would be better, but and then again we have the loss of privacy, and that's probably one thing most people are concerned of, because if everything is accessible all the time, it is accessible for everybody, also the government, also bad people, whatever. And that's one thing we saw in the movie quite drastically pictured, because there were interrogations, there were criminal suings, and nobody really knows, is government right or not? I mean, that's a problem all the time. And so it is really important not to abuse those techniques, which might be, but we are optimistic, and we should try to embrace that technology and look for the dangers before. So that's kind of the big brother thing. And there's another thing, dreams. We are thinking while we are dreaming, but we are not conscious. What will happen with the things that we are only thinking subconsciously, but not consciously? So there should be a very good distinction between that. And to wrap it all up, we have prepared a little conclusion.
So, conclusion. Into mind. Well, of course, it will blow your brains out, because drastic changes and everything. It will change everything, not only in the workplace, but everything will also be a lot more efficient, so you won't lose time. And yeah, everything will go a lot faster. And that's pretty impressive. I mean, it'll go even faster than it's going now, which is quite, yeah. So I'm pretty sure something like this, something similar, is going to come in the next 50 years. Like Google Glass is quite similar in a way. But yeah. So in the end, we have to choose our path, you know, because you can like, it depends how you implement this new technology. You can, as he said, put it inside your brain, which, yes, well, he already told you all the dangerous effects. But if you, for example, only had a little electrode on your forehead, you could easily take it off, and you'd be able to control the amount of time you spend on it. So, thank you.